I was watching The Leftovers before we got started. Have you seen that show?
Nope.
No. So it's on HBO. I don't know if you have that.
Nope.
So what a weird show that was.
Are
So it's
we
about
live now?
Yeah, we are live. So so I just want to talk about this before we get into
Sure.
our discussion. So the premise is that all these 140 million people across the world just disappear. So some think it's the rapture, other people just don't know what the hell happened, right? But
Right.
what the show deals with is those left behind, the leftovers.
Right.
And there's some weird stuff that goes on in this episode. Can't decide if I like it or not, but it was interesting. But it was like an extra long episode, it was like an hour and 15 minutes, and it was creeping up on the time for us to get started. And I'm like, oh my god, it's got to end soon. Okay. Um, I'm sorry, I'm still getting used to this interface here. I don't do this very often. Often enough, I guess. Okay. Shall we get talking? We have
Sure.
one. I don't know. Do we actually have one viewer, or is that you that's viewing?
Oh, I'm not viewing.
So if we have a viewer, hi viewer. All right. Shall we get started?
I'm ready.
All right. Did you look through the stuff I sent you?
Yeah, a little bit. I, mean,
I,
I kind of have an idea about most of that stuff. I mean, so I guess I know. I guess I paid closer attention to the whole thing than I thought I did.
All right. Let's see here. Let me get something. I got too many browser windows. There we go. All right. All right, let's go. Hi, this is Eric from longboxreview.com.
And I'm Travis from Oddbill's Thoughts from YouTube.
All right, and Travis and I are here to talk about this little thing called Comic-Con International from San Diego, or otherwise known as SDCC. We have a lot of news coming out of SDCC. Travis, would you say that San Diego is pretty much like the big announcement time for those of us who love comics, or at least one of them?
Yeah, it's one of the big ones, that's for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Considering that, Travis, what is your I just want to get your general impression about the stuff, the news coming out of San Diego. What did you think about that in general?
Eh?
That's kind of how I thought about it too.
I don't know. I did. I mean, there's some cool stuff, but as a whole, it did. I don't know. It didn't seem that exciting. That there wasn't like some earth-shattering, oh my gosh, kind of thing this year. At least nothing caught me as. I mean, there's some stuff I'm excited about, but there's nothing that if it didn't feel like the big two, didn't feel like they spent the entire weekend trying to one-ups each other with who's got the bigger whatever. I don't know. It didn't.
It's good.
I don't know. It just. Or maybe this is the first year I didn't try to keep up with it while it was happening too. I mean, I kind of waited for it to all be done as a whole and wait for the dust to settle before I started kind of looking into any of it to see what was. Because I remember in years past I'd be sitting trying to watch, because obviously I don't go, trying to watch, different comic book news feeds, the live things to try and catch what was going on and whatnot. But I don't know.
See, that's funny because I remember you doing that. Maybe not last year, but maybe the year before, because you were tweeting stuff as
Right.
announcements were going out, and I didn't really do that myself. But this year, I made an effort to kind of keep up on things as the weekend progressed.
Mm-hmm.
And so at the time that we're talking here, it's a week later after Comic-Con.
Mm-hmm.
But I did. Every day I pay attention to stuff on Twitter. I was checking CBR, Comic Book Resources, they had an SDCC 2014 tag, so I would just refresh that page every little while just to see what the most recent news was coming out of it. And I have to say, just like you said before, and I agree with you, it was just kind of San Diego. It was really weird because I think we're kind of used to things coming out of San Diego, like the big announcements, and this is kind of like the launching pad for these publishers' plans for the next year.
Yeah, except they're getting to be more and more as everybody releases all that stuff before the con.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up too. So
even the big two are releasing the information before the con.
Yeah. So why do you figure they do that?
Because the comic book news, the actual straight up comic book news that has to do with comics, gets lost, I think, in amongst the media blitz of all the other types of media that are going on now out of San Diego Comic-Con. Now it's what TV clips are we going to see? What news? What movie clips are we going to see? It feels like that's a lot more of what goes on at San Diego Comic-Con. I mean, obviously, if you're there and you're one of the people, I'm sure it's a completely different feel. But for the person who sits on the outside, just kind of watches the event happen, it feels like the con itself, what comes out of the con itself, is all that stuff. It's all the stuff, the secondary stuff, or stuff that's got really, in my opinion, nothing to do with comics whatsoever. Obviously, Mad Max, movie announcement, that sort of stuff. It's the pop culture. It's the pop culture stuff that seems to be coming out of there, and I think it gets lost. I think that gets lost amongst all of that. So I think they released this stuff early, and I think they released this stuff early because people want to get the jump on somebody else. I think it's who can report it first, kind of a thing. And in this case, it's who can get as close as you can to the con, but still make the first announcement so everybody's talking about that and doesn't talk about whatever the other company's announcement's going to be, kind of thing, is what it feels to me like, in some sense.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, so...
Well, and so speaking of that, Image Comics, they had their Image Expo, I think it was either the night before preview night, or it was the same day as preview night. Day before, right?
Mm-hmm. Now, which they've done for the last couple years. They've had their expo the weekend before or midweek or something like that before the con.
Okay, that's what I was thinking, because I remember that the news coming out of the Image Expo was at least a few days before, but this was right on the heels of the opening of San Diego, which I thought was really weird.
Yeah, I don't know, because see, I remember last year they did it like 4 or 5 days beforehand. Dark Horse the day before, not Dark Horse, was it Dynamite? Dynamite, like the day before the con, they released all of their stuff. I mean, they did an entire info dump. I think everybody was doing an info dump beforehand. Any of the non-big, besides DC and Marvel, almost all of them did their info dumps before the actual con. So I just kind of think that's becoming the way it's going to be for a while.
Why do you think that? What's the advantage of doing that?
Because everybody's excited about the con, but people aren't in con fatigue yet. People aren't traveling yet. Well, in the case of the this year's Image one, maybe people were or whatever. I just think that everybody's geared up and excited about the con, but aren't worn out by it yet, and our attention is there. Our attention is there to listen to it. And by Saturday, after Friday, a full day of Friday stuff, and halfway through Saturday, I think people are starting to get kind of numb to all the information that's coming out, and so you get lost. You get lost in the shuffle, I think. So I think that's why they do it beforehand. Plus the fact, I think some of those companies, like Image, for instance, wants to separate themselves from San Diego Comic-Con and the big two and everything, because they think they're special. They think they're that special snowflake that is better than everybody else and is what real comic books should be, and la la la. I can go on that. That whole speech that what's his face did at the beginning of that thing, I think is is pretty interesting and not 100% correct. But at any rate, yeah. So I think that's why. I think it's. I mean, I think it's your way to use the con to have the attention without you having to be at the con and take all the lumps there. I think.
Hmm. You know, it was interesting. The last couple of years, as New York Comic Con, which I think is in November, it seemed like that, especially DC, would kind of hold some things back for New York to try and, I guess, to try and make New York like it can't be the biggest because San Diego is, but to help bolster New York into becoming something bigger than it had been. But given DC's move to California here very soon, I don't see that happening. So it's a weird. I don't know. This year just kind of struck me as kind of weird in the sense of the news coming out of San Diego didn't seem to be as bombastic and big and as important as in years past is all.
Yeah, yeah. I can't think of either company as far as their books are concerned. I can't think of an announcement that came at the con that was significant. I remember last year, we had you had Neil Gaiman come on and do his announcement that the new Sandman book was going to come out and whatnot, and that was a big deal. I'm trying to think, there were some Marvel things too that were comic book oriented that were big deals that came out during the con, and I can't name anything right off the top of my head, really, that was announced at the con from those two companies that are comic book oriented, not movie and all the other stuff that's involved.
Well, now there were some things that I wanted to point out, but again, a lot of this stuff is not like big announcements. They're just things that interested me for the news coming out of San Diego. So we're going to talk about some of those, and if you, Travis, of course, if you have anything to talk about, please throw those in there. But let's start. I want to throw this your way, Travis, because I have the information in front of me. Let's see here. So CBR had a poll. What was the biggest San Diego Comic-Con announcement? And of course, this is just the people who decided to go to CBR and actually vote, which that was me.
What were the choices?
So I'm gonna read you the top 10, and I want you to guess what the number one chosen thing was. It's pop quiz time.
Superman versus Batman.
You're back in school. Hold on.
Okay.
Yes, you're right. Joaquin Phoenix in talks for Doctor Strange movie, which that was kind of strange.
Whatever.
Avengers: Age of Ultron poster complete. I didn't even look at that.
Nope, neither did I.
Marvel greenlights Guardians of the Galaxy sequel, announces release date.
Oh, good God.
This is before the movie. Now, you've seen the movie, right?
Yes, I have.
I have not.
I'm in the minority, so.
Okay. Ra's al Ghul in Arrow Season 3. Comixology announces DRM-free backups. Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell writing Evil Dead TV series. Image Comics 12 new Image Expo announcements. Marvel announces Star Wars comics. New look at Ben Affleck as Batman in the Dawn of Justice movie. I'm gonna go on a side tangent here. I really hate that they're calling it Batman versus Superman. I really hate that. That's all I'm gonna say about it. And finally, Gal Gadot. I hope I'm saying that right. Wonder Woman revealed in new photo. Those are the top 10 items chosen by voters at CBR. Travis, which is number one?
What were the last two?
The
better Affleck picture, right?
Yeah,
Ben?
yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's got to be one of the last two. It's either Wonder Woman or it's Wonder Woman. I'm going with Wonder Woman.
And you are correct, sir.
Yeah, right on.
With nearly 32% of the vote.
Yeah.
Which is a huge margin here because the next one is the Ben Affleck as Batman, and it's like just under 9%. Mm-hmm. So that is not, however, neither one of those is what I would have chosen out of those top 10. What about you? If you had to pick one of those 10, which one
I
would
had
you
to pick
choose?
one of those 10 that I thought was the top news thing. Oh wow. I'd probably go with the image stuff. The
Yeah.
two, because that's what interests me the most out of that stuff.
All right. Yeah, I kind of thought you might say that.
Yeah. What
And
would you pick?
I'm hoping we can talk about that here in a minute. Okay, so actually, I would have picked, and I did. I voted for the Comixology announcement because I think that's just huge news. Now,
It is. It is.
right now, it's not much. When they announced it, within an hour, maybe two at the most, I got an email from Comixology letting me know that some of my comics were available for this backup, this
But
DRM free backup thing.
Not DC or Marvel, right?
No, no.
Yeah.
So it's a step in the right direction, and it may cause me to be more of a digital comics reader if they expand the DRM free to other publishers. Well, not. That makes it sound like Comixology is the one making the
They're not
choice.
controlling it,
No,
right?
it's not. If the publishers get on, the other publishers get on board with this.
Not going to happen.
Wait. That the other publishers won't get on board?
The other publishers won't get on board.
Yeah.
Uh, Marvel and DC, no. Especially Marvel. Marvel feels to me like they're working awfully hard to control their own, to get people to go to their digital store and read their digital stuff, and so no, I don't see that. I don't see that at all. And I certainly don't see them. I certainly don't see them allowing a third party to be the access to get your stuff and get it that way. But I think it's awesome. I mean, I thought it was huge. I thought it was huge news when last year, because it was last year, the Image announced that they were going that way. That you could buy the books from them, and then you had it to use anywhere you wanted to, any way you wanted to, and that's how it should be. You know, where you have to go to a server and get it off of their server, and that's the only place you can look at it through, is bullcrap. I think it's one of the biggest reasons. Well, one of many reasons, but a pretty huge one as to why I don't like digital comics. I have to admit, if it went all that way with all the stuff, it would be more. It would be worth me using it on occasion. But the big two not going to be put in that now. I understand why Marvel doesn't though, with the Marvel Unlimited, where you've got access to everything, on a subscription basis, per month or year or whatever it is. You obviously aren't going to use that sales and then allow you to just download all this stuff off somewhere, because you just spend every night, right, just downloading the bejesus out of all those thousands of titles, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
I would.
Speaking of that, did you hear? So Marvel did a special for San Diego. They did a special introductory price for their unlimited service. I think it was like 99 cents or something like that. I want to say. I don't remember the details, but I heard they crashed the servers
again.
Yeah. But I have to admit, when I saw that announcement, I got the email from them. I really thought about signing up. Now, I think it was, like I said, it was an introductory price, and then it would go up to, I don't know, whatever it is that they charge for that.
$75 or something.
Yeah, whatever it is. And it's just not worth it to me to pay that much money a month to get all that backlog. Yeah. Especially since, again, I don't have the file. I don't have the files, DRM free. So, but like I said,
you're renting comics.
Yeah.
You're renting comics, just like you rent a movie. Same thing. Just like your HBO you were just talking about, you're renting it, right? You don't own that stuff.
Yes, but comics to me are not disposable items of entertainment.
Oh, okay.
So I want them. Whether it's a paper copy or a digital copy, I want a copy that I can do something with. TV, I don't care about.
Fair enough.
All right. Anyway, like I said, I thought that was the biggest announcement out of San Diego. I just where Comixology and these other publishers are pushing the digital world, so to speak, I found very interesting. Okay, so so I'm gonna talk. We're gonna talk about some of the comic related stuff, and then we'll talk some media related things. So next up, did you see, Travis, the multiversity map?
Yep.
Here, hold on. I
have it all dedicated in my head right now.
What do you mean dedicated?
The whole map. I have it.
Oh, you? Oh, come on.
Have it memorized.
No, you don't. Here, let me see if I can screen share. No, it's not working. Okay. Anyway, so what do you think of this map? So Grant Morrison came up with this concept, and then they had somebody. It was confusing because when I look at the picture that Entertainment Weekly published, it says Ryan Hughes, design, illustration, and additional. It's really small. I can't read it. Something details. But the report that I saw on CBR said something about Cameron Stewart having something to do with it too.
My understanding is Cameron Stewart does some of the art for one of the for some of the titles. I mean, because what I've seen is stuff talking about Cameron Stewart helps Grant Morrison re-envision the Marvel family and stuff like that. Right. I didn't know that he had to do anything with the map itself.
Maybe I just misread that report on CBR, but I swear it said something about Cameron Stewart having something to do with the map itself. But yeah. I'm probably wrong about that. There's something else that we're going to talk about down the list, next on the list, I guess, where I swear I read something on CBR when it was announced, and then when I went back to read it again to take some notes, that bit of information was just not there. So either my brain just making stuff up, or they did some sort of editing and took some information out. I don't know. It was weird, but anyway. But let's back to the map. I really found it interesting, how Grant and whoever else is taking everything that we know about the DC universe, the source wall and all the various worlds, incorporating the New Gods and incorporating the Endless from Neil Gaiman's Sandman. All of the gods that we've seen over the last 75 years of DC Comics. Just kind of, and then of course the whole 52 universes, which came out of the 52 series. And then remember when they announced that, or they revealed that towards the end of the 52 series, and then did next to nothing with it after that. And so this has been percolating for what, 5 years now, I think is what I read.
Yeah.
And so some of the things that I read about with Grant Morrison while he was being interviewed about this was that he kind of felt that now this whole idea of the multiversity and the 52 universes makes a lot more sense with the new 52 and the focus that DC has on the multiverse. With Earth 2,
which I think is crazy. Because what was Flashpoint and the hard reboot of the entire DC universe about? It was about flushing all of these things so they didn't exist. Well, so we simply had.
No. Yes. I will argue with you on this, Travis.
And I will too, because they are quoted. I don't have the time to go back and look, but they were quoted. Dan Didio was quoted as saying, "We are simplifying our universe by condensing it all down to one place." That is why they did.
You are confusing. No. You are confusing the Crisis with what happened with Flashpoint. That is not the intent of Flashpoint.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. It was to get rid of all that stuff. I understand that it was originally talked about back then, but there are quotes with those guys saying that this is going to clean up our universe, condense it down to one place.
No, not one place. I will agree with you. It was to simplify it and condense things down. Now it's the
Get rid of
5-year
all the Earths, so
timeline.
you didn't have all those Earth 2s and Earth X's and Earth whatevers.
But
Yeah.
we really didn't have those anyway at that point. Technically, they existed because of 52, but they were not used. So it was like they weren't even there anyway.
I'm going to be going on a hunt now.
Oh, yeah, I know. Me too.
I'm going to be finding those quotes.
All right. Well, anyway, so I find it really interesting that Grant has come up with this grand scheme, and it seems to be according to him, and it makes a certain amount of sense to me too, that it's tying into the New 52 universe, in some fashion, whether you agree with it or not. All right. Okay, so I mentioned before the thing that I thought I read and it was gone. So really the only comic book news, Travis, that I actually got excited about was the Spider-Woman ongoing that's coming from Marvel.
Yeah.
The face.
Don't get me wrong. I love Spider-Woman. I think Spider-Woman's a great character. In and out of being Spider-Woman, I think she's an interesting character. I mean, I even have the full run of the original, the original book. I think she's great. I question who they have doing the book, though. I don't know if that's a positive. The artist Land.
Greg Land, yeah.
He's pretty notorious for I don't know how I want to. Not very body positive, or he tends to me it feels like he samples lots of like fashion magazines and model stuff, and
yeah.
So I think that's unfortunate. I think that's going to immediately chase away a large segment of audience that might be excited about this book but aren't excited because of who they've chosen to have be the artist for it.
So maybe I'm just ignorant of the controversy with Greg Land. I know of it, but I look at the stuff that he's done in the past. What was it that he did for CrossGen? I think it was Sojourn.
Uh-huh.
I thought I really enjoyed the art in that book. And now he's doing Mighty Avengers, and that's okay too. I mean, just looking at what's on the page, I'm enjoying it. Mm-hmm. How he goes about doing it, and the other stuff that you brought up. That that aside, I'm just looking at what's on the page, and I'm enjoying the storytelling.
Yeah, I'm not horribly familiar with his work, other than going and looking it up to see what, and I'm not horribly excited. I mean, he's got a lot of work, and I don't know if that's just because those are the popular pictures that people like to throw up. Just like, people are going to pick the worst Liefeld pictures they possibly can to throw up and say this is why we should hate Liefeld, and that may be the case with Land, to tell you the truth, as far as what I know of his work or not. But I can see it. I mean, he's got lots of work where it really is kind of cheesecakey, pin-up, large-breasted, whatever. And if it's just going to be a bunch of Spider-Woman striking poses, ridiculous poses all the time, I'm not going to be interested in reading it. I don't care how cool it's written. I think the character's great, but I'm not going to be reading Wonder Woman either for the same reasons. So,
So you're not going to give the Finches one, a storyline to see how to let them prove themselves? No.
No. I'm hoping they don't make it past an arc.
I kind of think they will. For some reason, DC wants to keep David Finch around.
Because they are paying him. They've got an exclusive contract with the guy. That's why.
Yeah.
They gave him an exclusive contract to get him in the first place. And lo and behold, he's not that great. But not when it comes to women, not in my opinion. All of his women look exactly the same, and blah.
I wouldn't limit it to just his women, but that's just my opinion.
Well, I will be the first to say I think he draws a real kick-ass Batman. He can make Batman just look big, buff, meaner than hell. Looks like the kind of big lumbering, crush you kind of Batman. I think that Batman's a cool looking Batman. But no, I think the other stuff is horrible. So no, I'm not giving Wonder Woman any sort of a chance. I've finally decided for sure that I'm hoping the sales drop so bad that they scramble to put anybody else on the book. I don't care who.
Okay, all right.
So I'm kind of about the Spider-Woman thing. I'll get it because I don't have a definitive opinion yet. I'm probably going to pick it up because I'm interested in that. Like I said, I like the character. Would like to see some interesting stuff with the character.
Mm-hmm.
So that's cool. But I'm very apprehensive.
So one of the things that got me excited about this, and this goes back to what I was saying before about the bit of information that I swear I read and now I can't find anywhere, was that so they're bringing or they're using Spider-Woman as kind of a leader of a small group of people, including the new Silk character that's currently in the Amazing Spider-Man run, and this is the part that I keep harping about. I swear to God, that article said that Spider-Girl would be in it. And actually, so Spider-Girl had a short-lived series a few years ago, and I just kind of fell in love with the character with that series. And I don't think we've seen a whole lot of that character since then. There was something, a short mini-series during the Spider Island event, and that's the only thing I read was that Spider-Girl mini out of that whole thing, just because I like the character. The character reminded me a lot of Stephanie Brown.
Stephanie Brown, Batgirl. Yeah.
So I was kind of.
That's what I heard, but that was also one of those titles that Marvel used as a thing to point a finger at and see girl comics don't work. 2009.
Really?
2009, right? Isn't that about when that Spider-Girl run was running?
I think
2009. So. Yeah, and at the time, Marvel was quoted as going, "We tried doing girl books, and this is what happens when we do girl books." Obviously, they've changed their tune, but nobody bought the book, right? I mean, that's why it went 9 issues.
Yeah, it was short-lived.
Yeah, because nobody was buying it, because they didn't promote it. The only reason I even knew it existed is because you were talking about it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have had a clue that it was even out there. So.
Hey, and you know what's funny about that? The only reason that I even got that series was that Marvel had produced. You see, it's weird because they produced this basically a flyer previewing a bunch of stuff coming out really soon, all having to do with Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. And there was a few pages featuring Spider-Girl in it, and for some reason I kept going back to that flyer over the course of like 2 weeks. So I initially flipped through them like, it's Spider-Man stuff. I just kind of didn't care. But for some reason I kept pulling that flyer out, and I kept gravitating towards Spider-Girl, and it just seemed like a fun, fresh look at a young female superhero in the Marvel universe that I had no experience with. Mm-hmm. So finally it came out, and I picked it up off the shelf and then added it to my pull list after that. So it's weird that, like I said, they did this promotional flyer thing, and then basically just said, oh, there you go, and then presumably that was it. That's all they wanted to do with it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Are they putting Spider-Woman in a different costume? They aren't, are they?
Not that I.
Okay.
Based on the stuff I read.
I saw some stuff floating around Twitter, and it may have just been people having their own fun trying to re-envision her costume as something else. I'm just curious.
So yeah, you know what? That is one of those costumes I don't think you should mess with. I think they came up. Whoever came up with that costume, I don't remember who. You have
original issues.
Yeah, you have that original run.
I do, but I don't remember. I don't remember.
Dang, I don't either.
Artist-wise, I can't remember who was on it.
Anyway, whoever came up with the design is
that like
a perfect design.
Infantino? Is that Infantino?
I don't know. That sounds familiar though.
I mean, I know he did covers and stuff for a while, so I don't know if he did the first ones, but I can't remember. I'm not good at remembering stuff like that. Some people are just like, some comic book fans are just really good at being able to bang that stuff off, and I can't do that.
Yeah.
But
I used to be able to do that. I can't.
Yeah.
Too old.
Yep. But But yeah, I don't think so either. I mean, I like that costume. It's not. I mean, yeah, it's skin tight, but it's not. It's not ridiculous as far as like some costumes where it's more flesh than costume and whatnot. I do. I think that's a pretty solid costume. Really, and coming from the era it came from, I think it's a pretty solid costume. As far as the reasons that they choose to make costumes the way they do nowadays is interesting anyway. So
Okay,
it's a cosplayable costume, and so that makes it a positive thing, I guess. Right?
okay, okay.
That's what I meant. That's what I
Okay.
meant by
I
that.
wasn't sure where you're going with that one.
No, that's what I meant by that. I mean, that's one of the reasons why. That's one of the reasons why the creators of the latest version of the up and coming Batgirl, the reason her costume looks the way it does.
That's
It
it's
is
more
one of the
cosplayable?
it is one of the motivations as to why it is. Heck yeah.
Wait. Did someone actually say that, or is that just
Yes.
someone's
No.
supposition?
No, Cameron Stewart, the one who created the costume, that is one of the things he said about it is that this is a more relatable and cosplayable costume. Literally,
Okay.
I'm okay with that.
I have no objections. I just think it's kind of weird. That's the
And now I'm really
motivation
wishing
for it.
I'm really wishing that I don't think it's weird. The more you can get fans invested in the character, and that's just another way to invest in the character, the more successful your book's going to be. You hope, right? You hope that some of those cosplayers are going to translate into actual readers too. So anything you could do to make your character more relatable for people to want to go out and buy it, the better. I'm wishing I had that I had invested in shares of yellow Doc Martens is all I gotta say. So, because I figure people will be buying those left and right. But
Oh my lord. How is that? How? So okay. Given your point of
okay,
view there, or Cameron's point of view, so we often, you and I, and I think the comic book community at large, often point to how film adaptations of our comics do not translate to sales of said comics.
uh-huh.
See, in my mind, I'm thinking this cosplay thing is the same thing. So we're not
I
going to.
think, yeah, you don't think so? I think cosplayers are closer to comics than movie watchers are closer to comics.
Okay,
I believe cosplayers honor the source material better than a movie would ever, and movie viewers honor the source material.
okay, sure, but
So I think it's a closer. I think it's easier to get a cosplayer invested to read a comic than a moviegoer. I bet you more cosplayers read the material that they're cosplaying versus moviegoers read the material that it's based on.
okay, yeah, you're right. Yeah, of course. It just seems to me that it won't necessarily. I question the premise of that statement.
I just think the more you can radicalize your fan base, the better off you are. And
Okay.
so if you put
Yes,
her in a
sure.
costume, that every teenage to 40-year-old woman can jump into reasonably easy, they're going to be more excited about that character than if you put her in Starfire's costume, which there's probably 10 people who are going to be comfortable sporting that costume.
Sure. But how many? We're off on a tangent now, but
That's fine.
how many? What? So I look at a lot of stuff on Tumblr, and I subscribe to a few cosplay Tumblrs,
Hmm.
and the majority of the Batgirls I see are Steph Brown,
Right now.
followed by right now. But I'm just saying, they're they're choosing the character that they like to cosplay as.
Hmm.
I don't see. I guess my thoughts are not clear here. I guess I don't see how one relates to the one idea relates to the other one. Because okay, so I'm not seeing New 52 Batgirl maybe because that costume is difficult, but Steph Brown's is less difficult to do.
I know. I think that most people who are going to cosplay Barbara Gordon Batgirl are going to go back to harken back to an older Barbara Gordon Batgirl than they are the current Batgirl.
Okay, so why would they change that just because the new costume is cosplay friendly?
Because it's because I think it's radically different.
Yeah.
It's radically different, not slightly different. It's radically different with a completely different approach to the character, a completely different look to the character. I think you're going to keep a lot of the Batgirl fans that you have had, and you're going to pick up a whole different group of Batgirl fans.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I have a teenage daughter who I will bet big money will be a bigger Batgirl fan coming out of this than she was the prior Barbara Gordon Batgirl.
Yeah, I have to say, my granddaughter Madison is a big Batgirl fan in general, mostly because of the Young Justice series.
Right.
So I see her really potentially liking the new take on Batgirl, which is why I'm going to start getting that series for her to read. Mm-hmm. Where I wasn't all that comfortable letting her read even the Gail Simone written stuff. So
well, it's pretty brutal.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that Cameron Stewart or anybody else is saying this is what's going to sell the comic, is having this more cosplayable. I'm just saying that it was a thought in the design of the character when they redid the costume, was to make this something that would be a more reasonable thing for someone to attempt to cosplay and whatnot.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I totally agree with that. That makes sense.
And it seems smart to me. I mean, why? Yeah. Anything, like I said, anything that radicals the fan base more and more, the better off you are.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Sure. Okay, let's move on. Let's talk about the Image Comics, the announcement. I don't want to necessarily go through each and every of the 12. So let's just talk about the ones that unless you're interested in all 12. Let's just talk about the ones that really excited you.
Well, my wallet's gonna hurt.
Oh, really?
Hitting into 2015, I don't think there's very many of these that I'm not going to at least try out. Just because they sound interesting. They sound well. One of the ones I thought was really interesting. I can't tell you a single thing about it. I can't even tell you the name of the comic. I do not think. Because I haven't looked at all of it yet. But of course, right now I'm really loving Moon Knight. The creative team that's on Moon Knight is all leaving after 6 issues, 5 issues, whatever it is, and are going about their merry way, right? Warren only signed up for 6 issues to relaunch the character, and then he's going to go off to do other stuff or whatever, Warren Ellis. And the other creative people on the team decided, well, they're going to leave too, and let all new people come on and whatnot. I'm like, oh wow, that's kind of a bummer because I've been really liking these things. Well, lo and behold, that entire creative team is doing an Image book.
Yes, it's called Injection.
Yeah, I have no idea what it's about, but it already has my money.
Okay.
It already has my money. What's it about?
Okay.
Do you know what it's about?
So here's the copy from Image. Injection explores how loud and strange the world is becoming, and the sense that it's all bubbling into chaos, a chaos poised to become the next new normal, and that we did this to ourselves without thinking for a second about how we were ever going to live inside it. I would never buy a comic based on that description. But
it sounds like a Warren Ellis book.
It does, and for the exact same reason that you just mentioned, I'm going to try this out because it's Ellis, Declan Shalvey, and the Jordy Belair.
Yeah.
Doing. Oh wait.
Colors.
Yeah. Jordy Belair's also on the Kurt Busiek book. That's weird.
She colors She colors 10 to 12 books a month. So.
Oh, okay. There you go.
That's why she has an Eisner, because she works her ass off.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm going to get this based only on the creative team because, man, that description is like nothing to me.
Yeah. Well, what's funny is that's if this comic would have been released 3 or 4 years ago, I'd be apprehensive to pick it up. Ellis was still doing comic books, but he was kind of off on the fringes, just kind of getting lost in Ellis. I want to say getting lost in his own his own internet Jesus ness. And I love the guy. Don't get me wrong. Love the guy. Love a lot of his work and whatnot. But there was a while there where it felt like he wasn't sure he had something to say. And I think this break away from comics, him coming back, the stuff that I've been reading of his since he's been kind of back and putting himself out there, has kind of been exciting again. And so I'm excited for it now. But you're right. That description of what the book is about, I was told that's what the book was going to be about, 4 or 5 years ago, I would have been going, oh boy, I'm going to give it a shot, but I'd be nervous because I read some of his last stuff before he kind of took a break, and it was getting kind of, I don't know what I'll say about it, but at any rate, but I'm excited about that book because Moon Knight has just been so great that I'll be curious to see what they can do. They seem to have a decent working relationship, so I'm excited to see what comes out of that as far as that book.
Okay. What else?
Got a blank. Let's see. The Rick Remender Murphy book, Tokyo. What's it called? Tokyo. Can't remember the name of it. Shoot. I'm looking forward to that one also.
Tokyo Ghost.
Yeah.
Sean Murphy. It's Sean Murphy and Matt Hollingsworth on colors. Sean Murphy doing that. Oh man.
Yeah.
Why did it have to be Remender?
Yeah, you're not a big Remender fan. I've been enjoying Remender's image books, his sci-fi based books. I've been enjoying those, so I'm on board for that. Just those two creators puts me on board. I'm excited about that.
Mm-hmm. I can see that.
Trying to think what the other ones were that I was. On Rumble, I'm looking forward to Rumble too, just because I'm looking forward to seeing John Arcudi do another book outside of Dark Horse.
Mm.
He's usually attached to a lot of Dark Horse type stuff. I've enjoyed a lot of the things that he's done. It's kind of a horror sort of a book. It's like I guess it's quoted as being a Scarecrow Conan book. Yeah. So
in a Louis C.K. TV show directed by David Fincher. That's the tagline.
Yeah. See, that would be. I don't know. That sounds cool to me. That sounds like that's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So Intersect. I'm actually looking forward to Ray Fox Intersect. That art that's going to be on that is going to be amazing. It looks like the whole book is painted and stuff.
It is.
So that's.
But here, let me read the copy again, because this is like the Warren Ellis book. Bodies shift and merge, warring with themselves. Blood rains from the skies. A child's song is translated into toxic, thought-destroying whispers. Everything is changing. Everything is wrong. This is the world of Intersect.
What the hell does that mean?
Exactly, right? It sounds like, actually, these Intersect and Injection sound like they could be part of the same universe.
Yeah.
But the painted cover that I'm looking at here with by Ray Fox just looks really cool.
Isn't this also the book that when Ray Fox went to talk about it, he described it as basically being Twin Peaks? Twin Peaks, if told through like the Black Lodge or something like that, it was some other.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Some other crazy pants reference. I'm like, oh, if you could pull that off, man, I'm gonna be raving about this book, kind of a thing. So that that's pretty exciting too. I'm not sure what I think of the Inhumans. I'm kind of a sucker for ape man type books anyway, and the guys that are doing it, Keller and Neely, aren't they the guys that were doing like Boom's Planet of the Apes books? I think that might be fun. I mean, the cover image I've seen of it is a bunch of ape men riding riding choppers like there's some sort of motorcycle gang. That could be amusing. I don't know. I'm gonna try them all. I want to like. My problem is, I mean, I want to like Southern Cross. That's a Becky Cloonan and Andy Blarging book. Becky's writing it though. She's not doing the art on it. Cloonan's kind of become a writer now, which I
Mhm.
think is my understanding from watching some interviews. There has always been her goal, really, is to be a writer more than the artist. The artist was kind of her way in, which I think's a lot of work for it to be your way into being a writer.
That's really interesting too. That you don't normally hear about that kind of a path.
Yeah, but I mean, good for her. I mean, I guess you have a much greater understanding of what you're telling your artist you want, having had to do it, I guess. I want to be interested in that because of the creators that are on it, but I don't know that it's going to be something that interests me because it's kind of it sounds like it's like a mecha type story in some sense was potentially what I got out of it, but I could be wrong. Like I said, I haven't actually read the solicits for it. All I've done was kind of listen to what were the news that was being thrown around on Twitter and stuff. So I may be somewhat
Okay.
misinformed.
Okay, so this is one of the few books out of this 12 that I'm actually interested in.
Oh yeah.
So here's the copy. Now boarding Southern Cross Tanker Flight 73 to Titan, Alex Braith is on board, retracing her sister's steps to the refinery moon, hoping to collect her remains and find some answers. The questions keep coming, though. How did her sister die? Where did her cabin mate disappear to? Who is that creep across the hall? And why does she always feel like she's being watched?
Oh, okay.
Uh, Andy Bellinger, referred to it in offhanded fashion as being like, quote, The Shining on a haunted spaceship.
Oh, okay. So that would be cool. I'll probably end up getting it. I'm also interested in the Descender also. Less so because Jeff Lemire is writing it because I'm a bit gun shy on Jeff Lemire after Trillium. The way Trillium ended, I was not happy with the way Trillium ended. But I'm curious to see Dustin Nguyen do an independent book, and I'm interested to see him do an independent book and him doing like a robot boy. I think it could be really interesting with him doing the painting and stuff for that book. So
Well, the cover image looked good, but yeah, besides the artist, I'm not all that interested in the stories.
yeah,
Yeah. So
those,
go ahead.
yeah, but those are the ones that piqued my interest the most. Of course, I'm still chomping at the bit for like Bitch Planet to come out and some of these other books that were announced, last year that hasn't seen the light of day yet as far as as far as some of the books. Because that's one thing. You get these announcements. We're talking late for a lot of these books, like the Tokyo one. We're talking like October, November of 2015 before these are actually going to be out there.
Right.
So announcing it now and the reality of when we're actually going to see it could be two different things. Because there's Odyssey that was announced last year. That I'm looking forward to that retelling of Odyssey in a very strange fashion by Matt Fraction with
Right.
I can't remember. I'm drawing a blank. I think his name is like Christian Ward. I think is his name. I'm drawing a blank. It's the guy who did the artwork for Infinite Vacation. He's doing the artwork on that. Very excited to see that book see the light of day. I'm really curious about Kelly Sue's Bitch Planet. I want to see that. Just because that just sounds in your face. And so I'm kind of looking forward to seeing that. That was some of the stuff that was announced at last year's Images Expo, and we haven't seen that stuff yet.
Right. Now, remind me, they announced 10 titles, right? From that last time, because it was like their 10th anniversary or something.
I think so. And we've seen 2 or 3. We got The Divine and the Wicked instead of Phonogram, because that's what originally was announced, and they kind of changed gears. The creators on the book changed gears and decided to do this other story. Fine. We've gotten Southern Bastards. We got Low just came out this week as of us doing this show. We got Black Science. So I guess we got 4. We got 4 of the books. There's announced was more Casanova was announced. The Odyssey book was announced. Bitch Planet was announced. There was that Graham book that was kind of like his kind of it was kind of a jam book. He had a world, some sort of an 8-ball. Was it called like 8-ball or something like that? That book hasn't actually come out yet. Oh, as I stretch my memory, what else was there? Oh no, I guess Trees came out. That was announced at last year's also. So
Okay.
about half of them came out.
Yeah,
So,
I said the 10th anniversary. That can't be right. Image didn't start in
no,
2003, 2004. So 20th anniversary? I don't know. Anyway, I just remember the number 10. They announced 10 titles.
yeah. So about half of what they announced has actually come out. But that seems to be the case all the time, though. And some of the stuff I don't think we ever actually see. They announce it, but that doesn't mean we're actually going to see it. So, the stuff that gets announced, what we're actually going to see, who knows?
So the only other book that I was remotely interested in, we haven't talked about this one, is Tooth and Claw. I had mentioned it briefly earlier, but it's by Kurt Busiek, Ben Dewey, and Jordi Belair. I don't know. I like Kurt Busiek in general. Pretty much anything that guy does, I like. But this is it says swords, sorcery, animal wizards, gods, empires, golems of radioactive decay, crystalline badlands, con women, ancient armories, young love, mystery, blood and death and treachery and destiny. It's an epic story you won't want to miss out on. Okay.
Yeah.
So. Well, really, for me, it's only 3 out of the 12 that I'm probably going to get. Well, 4 if I get Intersect, but I'm only interested in that because of how it looks. The story doesn't, as described, does not really interest me. So yet, based on what we know now.
I'll probably be trying most of them out.
Well,
none
good.
of them.
You can let me know how they are.
None of them do I look at it and go, no, it's a complete turn off. I want nothing to do with that. So. We'll see.
All right. So next on my list, I just want to mention this real quick because it's one of those convergence things. Last night, I was watching my Roku, and they have a Comic Vine channel on Roku, and they had a bunch of videos posted there for San Diego Comic-Con, and one of the interviews was with Peter Tomasi. And considering how you and I on the podcast just talked about Batman and Robin, the comic, which was Batman and Ra's al Ghul for that issue, I found it really interesting that Tomasi was talking about the whole Robin Rises thing, and because we're getting Robin Rises Omega, or did it just come out? I think it just came out.
Yeah.
Or it's coming out next week.
Omega?
Yeah, maybe it's
came out. It came out. No, it already came out. It came out a week or two ago. Okay.
Well, I haven't got my comics yet. They're on their way. I'll get them next Tuesday.
Yeah.
So he was talking about the Robin Rises Omega and how it's going to end in December with Robin Rises Alpha. So they were talking about that. But what was interesting was that we're going to get a new Robin. I think we already knew that by this point. But what was interesting was that during this interview, he said something about how the book. Okay, this is where I got confused, and I didn't go back and listen to the interview again. But he either said that the book is ending, or he was referencing the storyline ending. I don't know which one.
It better be the storyline.
But I'm thinking maybe it could be the book, because once we get Robin Rises Alpha, they could launch it again as a #1 as Batman and Robin again.
Oh, okay. I'd be okay with that.
And I was listening to the Pop Culture Happy Hour podcast just today, and they were talking. They made reference to how 2015 is the 75th anniversary of Robin. So this year is Batman's 75th. Next year, more importantly, is Robin's. More importantly to me, is Robin's 75th anniversary. So we get a new Robin at the end of the year, and then next year is Robin's 75th. So I'm hoping DC will again pull out all the stops, just like they did with Batman. Hey, don't roll your eyes, buddy. And celebrate Robin's 75th. So I'm just looking forward to what is coming out of this whole Robin Rises thing.
Yeah. Well, okay, let's go back a little bit. You're making it sound like you thought maybe it would be the end of the Batman and Robin book, right? So that would basically take Robin out of. I mean, they bring him back, right? Or give us a new Robin, whatever the case may end up being, and then he's not in any book. But does that make any sense at all?
Well, no, I'm guessing that they would just relaunch it as a new #1 Batman and Robin.
And I'd be okay with that. I mean, it irritates me, but at the same time, I'd be okay with that. I would not be okay with them, bringing Damian back if that's ultimately what they're going to do, which seems like that's going to be the case. And then
that's not guaranteed.
I know it's not guaranteed. And then have no place to tell the story after he's back.
Yeah.
Unless, of course, they bring him back just to kill him again right away before the storyline's over.
Oh, God. They okay, I don't think they will, and they better not. I'm tired of Robins getting killed, damn it.
There's no guarantee. They just need to kill one more Robin, and it'll be perfect.
Yeah, Jason Todd. Kill him again.
No.
He should never come back.
Tim Drake. Get rid of that SOB. And then, yeah, you're right. Again. Oh, God. Oh, God is right. Get rid of that. Get rid of that SOB, and it would be perfect. Because then all the Robins would have been killed.
You know what? You know what they should have done with the New 52? I would have been happy with this. Dick Grayson.
Tim Drake never existed.
Or Jason Todd. Get rid of that. Get rid of both of them. You just have Dick Grayson, and you have the son, the biological son coming in and causing all the tension, and that provides an excellent reason for Dick to move on.
Yeah. Except they didn't want to throw away that much Batman continuity. Everybody else's continuity it was fine to chuck out the door, but not Batman's.
Yeah.
Because Batman has more continuity and interest than most of the other characters do, so it's a little harder to throw him away, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. Whatever.
But I like the Red Hood character. So I know you don't, and that's fine.
Well, I like Tim Drake. Well, I like the Tim Drake before the New 52 version.
But I agree. It would made a lot more sense that they would have gotten rid of those two characters, and you're right, and had it be Dick, Dick Grayson, Robin, and then him leaving being Robin and Damian, Wayne being Robin. That in the time frame that we all know that we're supposed to be stuck with, that makes way more sense. But that's a whole other show. As always, we can get off on the whole arguments about Robin all day long. So,
well, hey, I plan on talking a lot about Robin next year, so we'll
awesome.
I'm sure we'll have other conversations.
Great.
Okay, so we're over an hour now, so we're just gonna hit the next few things real quick. Just some quick thoughts. So, like I mentioned before, Travis, you have already seen Guardians of the Galaxy, and I have not. But even before the movie debuted, Marvel announced the sequel and a time frame for the sequel. So the Guardians of the Galaxy 2, I guess, is going to be, July 2017.
Didn't they name off a bunch, right? Either during the con or right before the con? Didn't they kind of list a litany of Marvel books, Marvel movies and time frames that they're supposed to come out? This whole release clear up into 19 or something like that. Don't they have?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now we don't have.
Why would you do that? Because you're not going to hit those dates, right?
I don't know. They've been pretty good about hitting their dates, I think. Because they seem to be doing a 3-year.
Yeah.
Well,
it just gives the fan base something to bitch about. Not that it keeps anybody from going to the movies, even if they're a year late, but whatever.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So yeah, you're right. They did announce a bunch of things, but they didn't announce what the majority of them are going to be. Mm-hmm. So we get Guardians of the Galaxy, which just opened on August 1st. Then we get Avengers next May. And then 2 months after that, apparently Ant-Man is slated to come out, even though there's a lot of
problems
with that movie.
Yeah.
We'll see how that goes. And then May of 2016. So we only get 2 Marvel movies next year. And then only two in 2016, Captain America 3 being the first one, and then something, and then 2017, there are three slated to come out, including Guardians of the Galaxy 2. And then in 2018, there are three, and then finally May of 2019, which I'm assuming will be the next Avengers movie. Maybe. Or maybe 20. I don't know. But yeah, it's kind of weird that they're I mean, they have to plan these things out, right? Because
Sure.
they got to put them on the schedule and get them made and get them out there. So I can see why they would have this information, why they would announce it at San Diego when there's no real information. I don't know. It's a little bit of hype, sure, but
Right.
so what?
Just to show they've got this big machine running of that is going to crank out all these awesome Marvel movies for you.
I guess. So without any spoilers, Travis, what did you think of, and I know you talked about this on your show already, but what did you think of Guardians of the Galaxy?
It was okay. I wasn't horribly impressed. I went into the movie knowing I wasn't going to get the next Citizen Kane or Godfather or anything like that. I went in with, this is just going to be a fun movie. I'm just going to have a fun time watching a fun movie because you're not going to get a whole lot out of it beyond that. And there are some funny lines in it, and Groot and Rocket are funny. I didn't think it was really very charming or funny beyond that. I'm assuming that Star-Lord is supposed to be charming and funny, and I didn't necessarily think that he was. There are some pretty hammy and heavy-handed lines and moments in the movie that I just kind of took me out of the fun moment. I guess I don't know. It was okay. I put it on par with Green Lantern. So there you go. I mean, so if you hate Green Lantern, I don't. I'm not saying they're the same, but to me they are on par. There are things about Green Lantern that I thought were fun and amusing, and there are parts of it that you just go, oh my God, I can't believe you just delivered those lines, and you said that, and this part of the script happened the way it did. Please stop. And that's, that for me, that's how that was. I thought Avengers was a much funner movie as far as just being a, kind of a fluffy superhero movie. I thought it was more fun. I thought Captain America 2, Winter Soldier was a better movie all around than those movies were. But so that's my take on it. Got to keep up my cred of hating Marvel, I guess. I don't know. And I didn't hate the movie, but I didn't think it was as great as what everybody else is hyping it as being this. It's the next Star Wars, or it's the Star Wars of this generation and all the other crazy crap I hear.
Whoa,
right.
Whoa, what?
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm not saying don't go see it, but it wasn't like I was all hyped up for it or anything either. Me going and seeing it opening night, first showing, was a lark. I happened to be off, and it fit within my time frame, so I went and watched it. First showing, which was fun, I guess, for that sake. But
you never do that.
No, I don't for anything. So shame on me.
Yeah. So the other interesting thing about this whole Guardians of the Galaxy announcements. So yes, they've already slated the sequel to it, but they're also going to do an animated series.
Sure, makes perfect sense.
Sure,
it's going to be all Groot and Rocket.
Oh, I'm sure.
It will be.
But it's interesting that, and I have to remind myself because Disney's behind this too. So it's so bizarre to me that Marvel and by extension Disney is putting so much effort and support behind this franchise, which is basically unknown.
But that makes it easier.
Okay.
I think it makes it easier because they could do whatever they want to do with it. I think you're Captain America. You're limited. I think you're limited on what you can do because he's Captain America. He has to fit within a construct because he's Captain America, right? For for the common consumer, he has to fit within a certain construct because he's Captain America. These other characters, you can pretty much do what you want to do with them because we have no concept of them. To be honest truth, I know so little about the characters that are in Guardians of the Galaxy. They could tell me whatever the hell they wanted to about the characters, and I'm going to take it. That's what it is because I don't have any decent working knowledge of those characters. So they can kind of mold them into whatever franchise type of a thing they want them to be. I think it's easier. I think it's easier for them in that sense. For Disney, the people working the puppets back there, to create it to whatever they want to. Just like with the whole Star Wars thing, which I think we kind of need to talk about that announcement coming out of San Diego Comic-Con, all the Star Wars books, which I know nothing about and have honest to God very little interest in personally, but it seemed like it was a pretty damn big deal to a lot of other people because they have their big name talent are going to be writing some of these Star Wars books, right? I mean, isn't Bendis writing one of them? I know Jason Aaron's writing one of them. You know, I'm just curious that they're having. Yeah, who cares?
Well, but we expected that. We knew that
I didn't expect them. I knew Marvel was going to put out Star Wars books. I did not expect their superhero writers to be writing Star Wars books. I guess I didn't expect that.
True, and maybe not so many of them, but it certainly makes a lot of sense that you get your top talent on the Star Wars books, given that Disney owns Star Wars, and it just makes a lot. From a monetary standpoint, it makes a lot of sense for that to happen.
Yeah. So no, for me anyway, I guess it makes sense to me for Disney to glom on this. They can really make it what they want to, because I don't think there's enough out there about these people for that in everybody has some sort of a concept of what Captain America is kind of like and that sort of thing. So I think you're more limited. Not to say you can't do interesting stories, but he is a thing where these characters they can do whatever they want to do with.
Yeah, and quite honestly, I did not read a whole lot of the Guardians of the Galaxy that these characters are based on. The Abnett and Lanning stuff during the Annihilation stuff, the series and whatnot that they did several years ago. My Guardians of the Galaxy are the ones that are from the future.
Right.
Charlie X and I can't remember the names now, but those are my Guardians of the Galaxy. So I find it weird because they're pushing so much into this franchise that basically no one knows anything about. In other words, Marvel's taking a big gamble. Obviously, it's paying off because we know that the box office money is huge.
Right. Thursday opening night, what, $40 million on just the Thursday night opening?
Yeah, and I think they're expecting like 90 million or maybe 100 million for the weekend.
Yeah.
Or maybe that was just for Saturday. I don't know.
Yeah.
But what really matters though is, as we found out with Young Justice and the Green Lantern animated series, if the marketing end of things, if you can't sell enough toys, that might be an issue. But I don't think they're going to have a problem with that. I imagine. I don't know. I just find it really strange, and I'm really curious how it's all going to work out.
Everybody's going to go out and buy a Groot, whatever. Everybody. It's going to be. We're going to have those little flowers that do that. In the sun. We're going to get Groot ones of those.
I was just thinking about that.
We're going to. They'll be out there, and everybody that sees the damn movie is going to have one. So. I don't think it's going to be a problem. Because that movie, if nothing else, because this movie has those two characters in it, a raccoon with big guns and a fun tree, I think the movie's gold just based on that as far as money goes and the general populace entertainment and whatnot. I'm just a cranky old man, so I'm hard to satisfy when it comes to stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, you're not exactly the demographic they're going for anyway.
No. Not at all. Not at all.
All right, let's move on to our final topic and then get out of here. So as we talked about at the top of the show, the number one per that CBR poll was the Gal Gadot Wonder Woman costume reveal, if you
Mm-hmm.
will,
Mm-hmm.
not a costume malfunction, or well, depending on your opinion about it, I guess it might be a malfunction. But so they released that photo of her in the Wonder Woman outfit for the movie,
Yep.
the Dawn of Justice movie. I'm not going to say Batman versus Superman. Oops. And uh, yeah, I have to admit, my initial reaction to this, Travis, was, "Wow, there's no color here." But then I thought, you know what? If that's leather armor or leather-ish type armor
Uh-huh.
for her, which kind of makes sense given that she's an Amazon and
Right.
it's Roman-esque based, I
Right.
guess. That
Right.
makes a whole lot of sense
Well,
that it's that way.
and it certainly makes sense depending on where she's at in her career of being Wonder Woman, right?
Mm-hmm.
If this is early on, if she hasn't decided to wear a costume like the two guys they're going to be in the show, it really makes sense then.
Mm-hmm.
I guess for me, you know what? Doesn't matter. To me, that's so. I mean, I look at the grand scheme of this movie, what she looks like, big or tall, wearing drab or wearing bright clothing. I'm more concerned about what she says, how the other characters treat her, and how she's carried and how she's acted. That's way so much more important than what's on her body, or
Yeah.
whether she's big enough to be Wonder Woman, or whether she's muscular enough, or curvy enough, or whatever the hell your other complaints are about visually the way she looks. If she doesn't have good dialogue, if the dialogue isn't delivered well, and if they don't treat her as an equal, that's what's going to damage and be crappy about that movie. The fact that she's wearing, boots, that have heels. Some people are having fits about that. It's pretty funny. Nobody complains about Black Widow. If you look at Scarlett Johansson's costume, she's wearing heels all the time in that, and seems quite capable of kicking everyone's ass. So I don't see, what the issue is. I mean, I get it. I get the idea. It's unpractical to be, in heels versus flats. She's freaking Wonder Woman. Okay, so I think she can handle high heels, but
yeah. Well, and you, well said. I completely agree with what you said there. I did want to, but I also wanted to bring up the whole costume thing because of that very opinion. While I had my opinion about how it looked,
sure,
exactly right. It really only matters that how she is presented in the movie. And I thought she looked great, considering the criticism I'd been hearing from certain people in fandom about the actress being able to portray the character based on her dimensions. And I thought,
right,
that's just
right.
ridiculous.
Right.
Of course, they say
yeah. And I don't mind. I like the costume. I think the costume looks great. It does look dark. It does look a little drab as far as the color of it. But that's one shot in the movie. I mean, who knows where that lighting is? She could be someplace where that makes I mean, the lighting makes her that way. I don't know. But I just think, somewhere on Tumblr or someplace they showed a picture of Linda Carter, Wonder Woman, what's her name, Paquin or whatever her name, not Paquin, whatever her name is that was supposed to be the TV show.
Oh, yeah.
That Wonder Woman costume and this Wonder Woman costume, and they kind of point out, okay, there's a reason that this costume looks. I mean, I was excited for that Wonder Woman TV show, but you get that gaudy, slick, shiny, plastic, brightly colored costume versus this more organic looking costume. The organic costume looks way better, I think. I mean,
Oh yeah,
all around. So I don't think it was a bad choice for it to not be rhinestone colored kind of a thing. I don't.
Better than the Linda Carter one, if I may be so bold.
Yeah, I like the traditional Wonder Woman costume. I'm okay.
I never liked Linda Carter's costume in that show.
I'm okay with that. But I'm certainly okay with her looking like she's wearing something that looks like something a race of warrior women would wear too. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
That makes perfect sense also. If we're gonna have our characters wearing practical looking things, that makes sense. But lots of superheroes don't wear practical looking things that make sense. So I can, to me, I can throw that out the window because they're superheroes, and that's obviously for a lot of years ridiculous costumes that these people choose to dress up in is part of the tradition of superheroes, and either you accept it and move on, or you don't, and you don't like superheroes. For me anyway, I just don't see how you can have one without the other.
Mm-hmm.
Because Batman, I think Batman looks cool, but it's also absolutely ridiculous at the same time. So.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I pretty much had gone through everything on my list. Travis, is there anything else that you wanted to bring up about San Diego Comic-Con?
For me, it was, like we talked about at the beginning of the show, that it seemed like the lack of a lot of comic news actually at the show. It all seemed to be come out in advance of the show, and that's the thing I'm always most curious about as to why we have this big nerd prom that isn't about comics so much anymore, but all the stuff that comes from comics and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But,
so what's the next big show that's coming up?
Big show?
Yeah.
I think the next, isn't New York the next really big?
Really? Because that's in November. So
Right.
I think you're right, but I
mean, obviously there's shows everywhere all the time. Anymore, there's cons everywhere. And if you're interested in just going to cons, there are cons all over the place. But big ones that it feels like stuff gets announced at and people really talk about stuff. It's New York, isn't it? I mean,
that's what I was thinking too. But I thought maybe there was, because I can't think offhand of another quote unquote big show where they would do announcement type stuff. So, but I could be wrong.
Yeah.
But as you said, we don't really have to worry about that because both the big two and the other companies as well. I mean, they're all doing this. They're all getting their brand out there. They're all making these announcements at any opportunity that they have, and I think they need to take that opportunity to get the word out and get people to pre-order their stuff and make the sales and entertain us.
More importantly, yeah.
Yeah. It's an interesting relationship we have with these companies, because they need to make a profit, but they also need to entertain us. And
we're a picky bunch.
Yeah, we are. I was trying to think of a nice way to say that, and there you go.
Except we all have our wants, and we all want all our comics written just for us. We all get in that mode at times, but I don't think we as comic book fans are that picky. I don't think that we're.
Ooh.
I don't think we're asking for that much, and it feels like lots of times that maybe not the creators themselves, but the companies, the big two anyway, companies as a whole go for the lowest hanging fruit, and that's all they want to do.
That's true. That's true.
And I think it's unfortunate.
Okay, so I'm looking at my phone here because McKelvey tweeted earlier today. He said I can't find him now. Because I'm not spelling it correctly. Jamie McKelvey. There we go. He was talking about the how with social media today, there's a lot of interaction between fandom and the creators. And hold on.
And he's the artist for The Wicked and the Divine.
Right. So I've confused some people. Sorry. I think curiosity, discussion, and involvement between readers and makers is a good thing. Where I draw the line is people expecting and feeling entitled to know every behind-the-scenes decision.
Sure.
Which I totally agree with him on that. But there is that element out there that feel like because they consume the product, they should have a say in it in some fashion.
Well, don't we all think that? Don't you think that as a consumer? You're just saying that we want to be entertained. I mean, so you're paying money So you do feel like you have some say in what's there, right? I mean,
Only
not
in the sense of, do I continue to support this if I'm not
sure.
getting something out of it?
Okay.
Do I feel compelled to get on Twitter and
Harass
call?
people?
Yeah, exactly. Harass people.
Because that's what it is.
No. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I don't. No, I don't. That's wrong. That's totally out of line. You vote with your pocketbook, not with your mouth.
Yeah. Yeah. Part of me wonders if I would be a happier comic book reader if we didn't have social media.
Yeah.
I was a happier comic book reader, back when we were kids reading comics. Maybe that's just because I was a kid and I didn't have as much, you know, I didn't have as many things to be complaining about yet in life. I don't know. I mean, we complained about books back then too if they weren't good.
Sure, but we couldn't get on Twitter back then and say, "Hey, Perez, you screwed that up, buddy."
Right. Right. Yeah.
And I'm glad we didn't have that.
Yeah, the closest we ever got to that was dialing in to kill Jason Todd or not. That was the closest we ever got to
Yeah, that's true.
To having an impact on what went on.
Or not necessarily an impact, but at least a say if you happen to get a letter published in the letter columns at the back of the book.
Sure, sure. So it was, well, I guess it was always there then, right? It was always there. We could always complain or write in or whatever. You just didn't necessarily get any communication back.
Well, and it definitely wasn't instantaneous like it is now.
Right, right. But it goes back and forth. I mean, I also think that social media is also great because I hear about stuff and get exposed to stuff that I don't think I would be reading half the stuff because of that too.
Yeah.
So, but I definitely think he's right. I mean, that's square on. We don't need to know everything that's going on. We certainly don't have the right to. I mean, I think I have the right to complain. If I'm reading something and I don't like it, I think I have the right to complain about the fact that I don't like it, or say what I don't like about whatever it is. But yeah, for me to demand something of a creator or an editor or the individuals, I think is a bit silly.
Yeah, definitely. But sometimes it feels like because they're the complainers, I'll just say it, the problem people, they're a vocal minority, and so it just seems like you hear a lot more about that than the silent majority, which for the most part is us, or we're part of that, I think, where yeah, we can complain about it, but we're not making asses of ourselves online. Right. So anyway, I get off my soapbox. It's a small soapbox. Okay, so anything else, Travis?
No.
All right.
Not about the con.
Yeah. Okay, well that's our look at some news coming out of San Diego Comic-Con. If you have any comments about this stuff, you can email me at longboxreview@gmail.com, or leave comments at longboxreview.com, or leave comments below the video, which will be posted on YouTube and Google Plus, I guess. So kind of new to this whole Hangouts thing. Anyway, this will also be if the audio is good, considering my reliance on this webcam that I'm using. If the audio is good, I'll be posting it in the podcast feed as well. Okay, thank you, Travis, for joining me on this. It was kind of a last-minute thing, but I really appreciate you joining me, and because I love hearing your perspective on these things and just having a discussion with you.
Yeah, my pleasure.
And so just everybody who's watching this probably already knows you. That you're a big deal out there in the YouTube comic book community. So, but remind people who may not know yet or are listening in the future when this goes out in the podcast feed. Where can they find folks find you?
All you have to do is go to YouTube and type in Oddfellows Thoughts, and I should be what comes up. Don't just type in Oddfellows, because then you'll get all the semi-secret society stuff that is out there about the Oddfellows people. But Oddfellows Thoughts, yeah.
Wait. What?
You're not familiar with the Oddfellows Society?
No.
Oh, yeah. You guys type it up there, and you'll get all kinds of stuff.
All right. am I going to find that you're actually a secret member of this thing?
No, I am not a secret member. I'm not even a public member.
All right. All righty. All right, everybody. Thank you. Thank you for watching. We did have one viewer off and on during the thing. Travis, I didn't see any comments. Did you?
Neither. Nope.
Yeah. Okay. So we're just talking to each other. That's fine. But people will see this, I hope, and enjoy it. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you're listening to the podcast, thanks for listening, and good night.